For great ideas and practical tools you can start using tomorrow to grow your business and separate you from the competition, you've come to the right place. If you're into B2B marketing and sales, then welcome to the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. With over 60 and counting total years in the trenches of businesses small and large, they have a plethora of knowledge and experience that generate you more leads, capture more clients, ring up more sales. Well, doggone it, just make you more money. How about that? Always thought-provoking, yet dubiously entertaining. Please welcome to their respective microphones across 3 time zones, your co-ringmasters, the Dave Loomis, and not the rock star, Steve Miller.
Hey, Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's Dad, Marketing Gunslinger, and I'm not going to start laughing like I always do, because this is a very serious topic today. And joining me on the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast is my very, very good friend. And you know he's a very good friend because we got in an argument. Or I shouldn't say we got in an argument, but he yelled at me. All right. And only good friends do that. And it wasn't today. It was a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still struggling. But
yeah, obviously he's bringing it up again. And yeah, but I agree. True friends. I hadn't
David Mayo,
thought of it
Loomis.
since then. Hello, everybody.
Yeah,
I am also known as the
I have a
voice.
very fragile macho male speaker, author, consultant ego.
Yeah.
So anyway, welcome, Mr. David Mayo Loomis, author of this book.
Marketing is everything we
do.
And soon to be author of the trademarked term book, Customer Outsight.
Oh,
not insight, outsight.
Wow.
Yep. And that can be another time.
Might be our next one.
When we can talk about what customer outsight is.
Might be our next call.
Because when I've explained it, and I explained it to the chief customer officer of a huge software company today.
Really?
And his mind was blown.
Did he go like this?
He did. He made the mind blown thing.
And I'm going to warn everybody today that this is a podcast, but we also do this on video.
Yes. Good point.
And so with chat, we're going to be talking about prompting today. And I think that I've mentioned before that, I am absolutely 100% convinced that the newest marketing superpower is prompt engineering. I've said before, understanding your moose, understanding your market, copywriting, that type of stuff. Those are superpowers. We
probably need another word. You need to come up with another word for the term prompt, because everybody uses that term. It needs to be your term. So think about that. I'll think about that for you.
But in the meantime, I mean, people get it. I think most of the people get what we're talking about right now. But let's start there. Let's start there, okay? Because let's start there. You and I both have. I think we both have kind of different approaches towards prompting. I think mine is extremely naive, and I think yours is extremely intelligent. Because
there's different ways to do it, for sure.
Okay, well, all right. So let me ask you. All right, what do you define as prompt engineering, and do you agree with me or disagree with me that it's a superpower?
Okay, well, it's definitely a superpower. It's also something that is evolving literally every day. So I don't know how many of our listeners actually are on TikTok, but I am on TikTok quite a bit, and I listen to, I watch videos on a whole bunch of different subjects. And because I have expressed interest, and because I watch videos about AI prompts, I get a lot of videos about people who are teaching others how to improve their prompts for better results. So I've learned a lot from that too, which is just pretty wild. Talk about mind blown. It's amazing. So yes, I mean, the answer to your first question is absolutely superpower, something that can be learned. Don't be afraid to experiment and all that.
What is it? What is it? Because I know there's somebody on here right now who's saying, "What the hell is
what the hell?" Okay, right. So if you have tried Chat GPT or Bing's
Bing AI or Bard,
Bard, which is Google's, or now Elon Musk is threatening to come up with his own thing. So any of these AI, they technically they are chatbots. But they're pretty damn smart chatbots. So it's basically, if you think about the space where you type in Google, that's technically a prompt for Google search, I guess. It's never
you know
really,
what? That's a really good point.
It's never really been called that, or I've never heard it called that, but it is, because this is really no different. It's basically a space to type what you want to know.
Yeah.
And you can write in a question or a topic and ask it to do something and make a request. So
I think in Google, I think we just call it like search terms.
Yeah, we call it search terms, or the Google box, or I don't even know what we call it, because we just say search Google as.
But there are
Google
also
search.
people now. You and I and everybody on here has been using Google for years now. Okay. And I would venture to say that most of us, including me, don't really use the Google search as well as we could, because there are ways to put in a search term
Definitely.
that are really advanced.
Yeah, definitely. And so we all probably only scratch the surface even on that.
Yeah.
When Google search first came out, we all thought, oh, we better type one word in. I'm trying to learn about insurance, so I'm going to type the word insurance in. Then we learned, oh, we should be more specific. I'm going to write car insurance and I'm going to get this. Mm-hmm. Then we learned over time that we could just write a phrase in there, and that's referred to a long tail search. And Google got very good at processing that and figuring out what that was. And maybe you've learned that if you want a specific combination of words, like a real term, then you put it in quotation marks.
Yeah.
And then Google won't mix it up. Yeah. It'll search for literally that exact combination of terms.
And I happen to know that when you really get into that stuff, it's called a Boolean search.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that. But I'm going to say that I am more of the Foolean user of that. I don't even come close to using Google like I
search. That's funny.
But it just came to me.
But that's great.
But there is a difference in, I mean, obviously the big difference, I would say, is that when you do a Google search, regardless of how detailed you make it, it simply shows you websites to go to.
Yeah. I mean, it gives you, it returns you links. Now, subtly, I've noticed that Google is starting to produce answers.
Yes.
And so it's not quite as noticeable as you might think, but they're starting to do that. So that's very interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised if, Bard merges with Google.
Well, it has to. It
just will.
I don't see any other way for it to do that. So now, so we've been using Google all these years. Most of us use it at a very, very elementary level. But now we've got, and we'll just, I mean, we can say AI or we can say Chat GPT, whatever we want to use right now. And this is now, and we could still ask the same elementary questions.
We absolutely could.
And it will give us pretty good answer. But what it does is it answers you. It doesn't say, oh, go to this, go to these websites, right?
Well, and it's giving you one answer. It's not giving you 50 or a page and then a thing at the bottom. If you ever, I mean, whoever actually really looks at the bottom to see that it delivered 45 pages of results on your search. And I know the top couple are really good, but I wonder what's on like page 55 of that search. I better look there. I mean, think of the time.
Yeah, but and nobody looks past the second page anyway. So I'm not sure the last time I ever did. But so how would you describe the difference between writing a prompt, or do you want to define a prompt differently? You very correctly and surprisingly, and I say that from my perspective because I wasn't really thinking about it.
Well, I didn't think about it that way either, but
but that was beautiful, and because it gives us a comparison with something we know, and so
true.
That makes
and before long, all this is going to be sort of served up to all of us in a very similar way that Google does it probably. For ease sake, whether it's built into Bing or Bing search or whatever. I mean, so I think that'll all happen.
How would you describe what prompting is? But in the new term, new way.
Well, I would say to me, the difference is with Google, I always feel like I'm asking a question. So I'm putting like a curiosity in there, search for this. But when I have a prompt in AI, I feel like I'm giving it instructions. And the way my mind works, I pretend that I'm giving a person instructions.
That's exactly how I feel.
I've got an assistant.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that I tried to name Chat GPT? I said, do you have a name? And they said, the response was, no, I am an AI robot. I do not have a name. I'm not a real human. And I said, well, could I name you? And it said, oh, feel free to refer to me as any name you like.
Yeah, I did that.
So I named her Pat. Because I thought,
from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, it could be a guy or a girl, or these days everybody is, sort of fluid anyway. So, yeah.
I named mine Dave. Where did I get that?
I have no idea.
It was not you.
Oh, I feel like there is a computer named Dave somewhere in a movie. What is it?
No, the computer's name was not the computer's name wasn't Dave. What was the computer's name? Hal from But Hal kept talking to Dave.
Oh, that's right, to Dave. That's right. That's what it was from.
That's what. So So I said one time I'm in a conversation and I just said, okay, your name is Dave.
And it said, fine. Right. Yeah. So that's from what movie is that from?
2001.
2001, A Space Odyssey, which I highly recommend. And the word Hal, the name Hal came from the letters IBM and moving one space over from the IBM.
Boy, we're this is like trivia contest here.
I know, it's great. It's great. I love that. I love that movie. Okay.
All right, so let's move forward on
so
this.
How do you? I can tell you how I do prompts because I got a little like sort of things that I think about. But like, what do you do in a nutshell? You said
I think I approach this very much like a real simple conversation with an assistant, and so what I do. And this is why I want to say that mine is very, very, very simple, but it becomes a conversation where I start out with the simplest statement of all. And I say, what can you tell me about this?
Okay.
And it comes back. And then I ask, and then I start thinking, okay, I mean, because, 90% of the time
you want more. You want more. You want something a little
more,
different, or
different stuff.
Now, I'm
not talking about writing copy or editing or that type of stuff. I'm talking about like if I want to go look for something, or I want information about something, then I start out as simple as possible, and then I expand from there. I say, oh, okay, that's pretty good, but I really thought that, and I love doing this. I love telling it that isn't even close to what I was looking for. Because it always apologizes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it says, oh man, I'm sorry. What did I get wrong? What is it you, and I go, well, I thought you were going to tell me more, have more of this involved. And it'll say, okay.
Yeah. Like
I can do that.
When I asked you about me, you said that I was a star, not a superstar. So you got it wrong.
That's right.
Yeah. That's right. You missed the mark.
So, so I use it as a conversation, but I also, I've also, I'm following a lot of people on, and I need to get onto that TikTok thing with you.
You do.
And tell me more about that. I'm deep into Twitter and LinkedIn.
Yeah, there's great content on TikTok, and a lot of the TikTok content creators have YouTube channels. And in fact, one thing that's fascinating is they're getting more aggressive about telling people about their YouTube channels, just in case TikTok gets banned.
Oh yeah,
which would be really a shame, because there really is some
there's a very real possibility that it will get banned.
There's an amazing stuff on it. So anyway,
now so
that's very
but when you and I have done this together, where we've gone on and gone into, your prompts, see, I see people on especially on LinkedIn. These guys are amazing on AI.
Yep.
And they share prompts that they work on and stuff like that. And these prompts are so in depth and so detailed, and then they come up with amazing stuff.
They can be, yeah. And I'm sure that I've only really scratched the surface too. I really love what you said about a conversation, because that's really the way I feel it is too. I think we get used to it's very different than Google, because in another way, which is we do our Google search, and we usually sort of choose from one of those results and then start, going down whatever that rabbit hole is, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we go back to Google time and time again for the same thing and say, well, could you do this different or different? But that's really how to get the best results out of AI, is to keep asking it to iterate.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but here is I had to think in prep for this about what I do. And I feel like, and one part of this, I think, two parts of this, but one part of it is new, that you and I have, I'm not sure, have talked about. So I came up with these 3 letters to represent the approach that I take.
Okay.
CQF. So CQF. That's what I do. So C is for context. And what I do with context what I mean by that is that if I had a real live assistant, like sitting across the table from me, and I might say what you did, which is like, so what do you know about blank? And listen to the answer and then go back and forth like conversation. But I might, to save time, because I'm busy, try and get get them to be pretty close on their first try. But if I had a real person in front of me, I would explain the situation. Here's what I'm working on. I'm working on this project for this client. It's in this industry and it's this brand or whatever. And I've been asked to do blank and I need a head start on that. I hope that you can help me. Here's what I'm looking for. And I describe it. And so that is the first part of it, which is context.
Context.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so that's the C. Now the Q is very interesting and fairly, I don't know if it's new, but I've learned to do this new and I had no idea that it was possible. The Q is for question, and it's not me asking the AI a question. It's
what questions do you have?
What questions do you have for me?
I just learned that.
That will help you deliver better results.
I just learned that.
And I did it today. And again, I'm doing the mind blown thing because it just was like, wow, okay. And so it told me what to ask Pat, so that it would do a better job with the task that I.
Okay, so you said okay, so you go through the context.
Yeah.
Right. And you had several, you kind of sped through it a little bit, but
yeah,
if somebody were to re-listen to that, they could hear where they would insert their words.
Correct. Here's what I'm working on. Here's the situation. Here's what I need. Here's what I'm looking for. Just
do you talk about like, I'm in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, I can read you something from this one.
I want to hear it.
I can read something from this, and before I do that, let me tell you what the.
Or do you want to go through your acronym first?
Well, no, I want to do that because I may have the order wrong. I mean, maybe it should be CFQ. Maybe the last one is Q, but all three of them are there. F is for format, which is instructing my personal assistant, Pat, just letting them know, hey, when you bring me back the results, this is the format that I'd like it in. Now, the one example that I'm going to give you that I'll read the prompt from, it's I'm asking it to create a table basically, as the result, which it does. But someone just told me, or someone on TikTok, just told me and showed that there's something called markup, which is where like outline form, and it'll take, sort of like raw data that it's giving you, like, I don't know, it's multiple paragraphs that are all just, sort of together. And it'll break it up into sections with bold headings and things like that. If you tell it the right way, it'll actually deliver the stuff that you can just copy and paste if you're doing something. So I think format is the thing. So let me just find the example. Hang on a second. So let's see. Left platform task list. This must be it. Yes. Okay. All right. So this is going to be pretty long.
And I want to remind people that most of the time, I'm not going to say all the time because I may have missed some, but when I post the episodes on as a podcast, even in audio, I post the transcripts. Okay. Now it's an AI transcript, but I try to give as much information as possible from what we're talking about, because since it's not visual.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna share my screen because there's a client name in here. And I'm gonna skip over that in my instructions.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And if,
so it'll be in the
if my-
transcript.
and if my client is listening to this and thinking, oh, Dave, we hired you to do this kind of work, and what are you having AI do your work for you? Then you're missing the point, because this is not something to replace a consultant or any of us that are listening. It's to help us actually do more and be more efficient with our time. So if you're paying me by the hour or however you're paying me, you want me to use this because I'm saving my time and I'm increasing the amount of time that I'm doing value added work for you. So this is a game changer. So here's,
can I put my spin on that too?
Yeah, do go for it.
Because and I've had a couple of people. People. I don't do hourly stuff. I don't work by the hour. I'm sure you don't either. But I say to people, look,
Rarely.
You got to understand. If you had to hire me by the hour, it would have a comma in it, and you don't want me working on mundane tasks at that level of money, right?
No, you really don't.
I use and especially now, and I'm saying to people now, I'm saying, you can't believe how cool this is that I can go out and I can use this to do stuff that you would have been paying me to do. And you would have been paying me a lot of money. All right.
Exactly.
But what this is doing is this is giving me a shortcut to getting right into the brain stuff. Which is that's what you're paying me for. You're paying me for the brain stuff, not for the stuff
Right.
that I can do by that is a habit.
Yep. Okay, here's what I wrote.
All right, I can't wait to hear this.
I didn't say Pat, but let's just pretend I said Pat. Pat, hi Pat. I'm doing marketing consulting for a leading provider of aerial lift platforms, a company called blank, which I won't name. I've been asked to create an exhaustive, extensive list of the tasks that contractors and subcontractors perform using different types of aerial lift platforms. Aerial lift platforms include telescopic boom lifts, articulating boom lifts, electric scissor lifts, rough terrain scissor lifts, and telehandlers. Examples of task-oriented segments that should be part of my list include electrical, HVAC, glass panel installation, drywall, steel erection, etc. Please make a list of all the tasks for both construction and maintenance that utilize aerial lift platforms. Indicate whether the task is associated with construction or maintenance. Indicate the prevalence of each type of aerial lift platform in the completion of that task. Put the output in grid form with the task in the first column and the types of aerial lift platforms in the other columns with an HML in the intersecting cells for the prevalence of each type of the task, with H equals high, M equals medium, L equals low. Before you generate the response, would you please ask me 5 questions that will help you do a better job of creating the most accurate list and analysis? Thank you. About before I could actually scroll down to it, it said, certainly, exclamation point. That's what Pat said. Asking a few questions will help me better understand your requirements and ensure the accuracy of the list and analysis. Here are 5 questions. Are you specifically interested in tasks related to construction and maintenance of buildings, or do you want to include tasks related to other industries and sectors? Would you like the tasks would you like the tasks to be categorized by trade or industry, or by the specific activity being performed? 3, are there any specific industries or sectors you'd like me to focus on while generating the list? Or should it be a comprehensive list covering various industries? 4, are there any specific criteria or guidelines you would like me to consider when determining the prevalence? Blah, blah, blah. 5, are there any other specific details or requirements you would like me to keep in mind while generating the list? Please provide your answers, and I will proceed with creating the list and grid based on your responses. So I said to answer the questions, and I did answer the questions. I said, I just all at once, I just said 1,
One answer, right? Two.
One, and I answered 2, 3, 4, and 5. This one I said, there is also a smaller category of lifts called low-level access that are machines that lift workers to lower heights safely. An example of this type of equipment would be a brand name model that I put in. If you want to create another column called LLA for low-level access and include this type of equipment, it could help. Please generate the chart now. Within seconds.
And then you left for lunch, and you said, and in fact, while you were at lunch, you decided to have a three Loomis lunch.
Yep.
And then you came back, and it was still working.
Yeah. If it had been the human that I gave the task to, they would still be working, but it wasn't. It was Pat, and within seconds, basically, I have a really nicely formatted list or grid, and it has my original 5 columns of it's really 5 columns of the different types of handlers, including now the new one, low-level access, which is called low-level access LLA in parentheses, and then a list of the tasks.
It's not LOL. It's LLA.
No, it's not LOL. There's like 40 different tasks, like electrical installation, repair, plumbing installation, roofing installation, painting and wall finishing, masonry and stonework, tree trimming, window cleaning, concrete tilt-up, walls and cladding. It goes on and on and on. And so I don't know how many cells in here, but in the cells are an H, M, or L, depending on which of the 6 different kinds of this equipment have that prevalence in that particular task.
Okay, so
yes,
I mean, again, I need to put sound effects in here.
Yeah, we need a little explosion.
I'm going to go find sound effects, and
I'm
going to start going into
in our intro. It's in our intro of our podcast.
You know what? That's right. I'm going to go
we
get
could
that.
Steal that little sound bite.
Can I steal it from ourselves?
Yes.
I love it.
Why don't you just ask Chat GPT for the wave file of
I
sound
can
effect.
So
yeah, what do you think? What is your I mean, you're into this and everything, and so you're like, nothing surprises you anymore, I'm sure. But what do you think of like what I did?
Okay. Nothing surprises me anymore. It's the level. It's the level of surprise, right? It's the level. It's that. See, the more I use AI, the more I realize that I'm a first grader using AI. Yeah. When I listen to when I read some of these extensive prompts, like what you just read to me of your prompts, okay, how extensive it was, I just think, why does my little tiny brain not think like that? So see, I mean, yes, I think that I get pretty far with what I'm looking for.
I think there's there's definitely different ways to do it, and it's iterative. I mean, I was kind of going for broke on the first pass. Like, I could have started slow and then said, now put it into a grid and do this, give me the list. So, I mean,
but I think it was so brilliant that you said, okay, after you gave it all this information, that what you wanted, right? And then you said, and you specifically said, and ask me 5 questions.
Yeah.
And
it did.
I mean, that to me was that's like the secret sauce.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
Jeez. So we got a superpower, and then we got
Yeah.
a secret sauce. And I mean, I think that sounded so cool. I mean, see, my mind is thinking this must be pages and pages of information. That the response that
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's a nice platform because at least Chat GPT is. And by the way, I use Chat GPT 4.
for that one, you used 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it would have it made that much difference to use 4 versus 3.5?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
I find I sometimes use both. I start with 3.5 and I kind of see how far I can go with that. And then when I get to where I'm like, okay, I'm in the realm of where I want to be, then I use them against each other. And actually, I use all of them against each other. I use 3.5, 4.0, Bard, and Bing. And at that point, I go in and I use them all. And it's interesting. It's interesting.
Have you found any difference?
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting because both Bing and Bard, there have been instances where they come back and they go, I can't do that.
Oh, really?
Oh, I wish I remembered, because I had it happen this morning where I was in doing some work and asking them to go get this information and that type of stuff. And I was not asking, I mean, if you ask it for opinions or to tell me which is the best book on brand, it's not going to tell you that. It says it'll say that's not what I do. I don't do that. I can report back to you, but your question cannot be. I think it kind of basically says I'm not a human. All right. So as much as I sound like a human, I'm not a human. But but I have had some very specific instances where Chat GPT 4 will come up with a really amazing response. Chat GPT 3.5 will have a pretty good response. Okay. Bing often responds with, I can't do that.
That's interesting. Now, one thing that brings up another thing that I wanted to just like advice for people, because, I talked to this one person who is a kind of marketer that I know. And he was asking me about these AI chatbots, and he hadn't done anything with them, which it surprised me a little bit. And I said, you need to do this. I mean, obviously you're in this marketing business, so you need to do it, play around with it. And he goes, okay, I will play around with it. And then he sent me an email and he said, Dave, I played around with it. It didn't really work. Didn't really work for me. He said, I asked it to like, what do you call it when you like scan a website, like you skim a website or something like that? Like go
to this link.
He asked it to go and like pull all the data off of a certain website, and it told him that he couldn't do it. But I'm like, and so then you give up, and it's like, yeah, could you ask it another way? It's just like when
if somebody doesn't want to do it, they're not going to do it.
When a chatbot like gives you a result that isn't satisfactory, try again. Like, try a different way. Try saying it a different way. Try asking for something slightly different, or let's go back.
Let's go back to how we both. I think we both kind of agreed in the beginning that using this is like talking to a new assistant.
Well, that's a good point. A new
All right.
assistant.
A
new
person who is
assistant.
sitting with you and you've hired this person and you're saying to them, okay, here's what I would like you to go do. All right, go do this. You know what? And then they leave. And if they're gone for a couple of days and then they come back and they present you with what they found, and then you look through it and you go, oh man, that's really not what I was looking for. Do you blame them? If you blame them, you're an idiot, because it was your instructions. It was your instruction. They followed did they follow your instructions? If they followed your instructions, then your instructions were faulty. So, see, this is, I like to think of this as that I'm talking to a person who desperately wants to help me.
Yes.
And so if I go in and I ask it some questions or I give it some direction or something like that, and then it comes back and I go, wow, geez, that's not what I was expecting at all. It's my fault.
Right.
But I could also just look at it that okay, all right, what's missing? Where did it go wrong? How can I ask you to go back and do it again? But this time,
right.
Think about it from this perspective.
And here's another thing that I had, that just dawned on me as you were talking, is that, like, I do all this voice of customer work, and I train companies in how to do it themselves too. And one of the things that I stress in this is that your customers you're going to say, what challenges are you having with XYZ? And they're going to say, they're going to give you like an idea that they have, like a solution to a problem. Like, you need to put the control knob on the side of the machine, not the front. And then the salespeople go around and they hear it a few times and they go back to the company and they say, hey, everybody's asking for this. We got to do it. And everybody goes, okay, I guess we'll do it. And they do it. And then it costs more. And then they say, well, do you want this? And they say, well, not if it costs more. And where'd you get that idea? Well, I just wanted it. So what I teach is, if you hear things like that, try to find out what the desired outcome is. Like, I want to minimize the effort required to reach the turn, the on-off switch, or I want to, minimize my ability to stop the machine in an emergency. And maybe it's a special thing, or moving the switch, but maybe it's a handheld thing that they have that isn't even connected to the thing. In other words, you're asking for what you want to happen. This is what I want to happen. So ask the AI, tell it what you want to learn, or tell it what the outcome you want is. It'll go figure out how to get that. Don't say, skim this website, because that's right. Your idea of how it would find the information. And that's right. Just based on your own experience of how you would find the information if you were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Let it figure it out.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this very bluntly, that anybody in our world, and it's more than just marketing consultants and authors and speakers and stuff like that, anybody in our world who resists this will be out of work shortly. You will be, you will not be needed.
I'm going to plus that and say, yes, I totally agree. And on top of that, let me just say, if you haven't tried this yet, you're, to use your term, you're an idiot. Like, honestly, seriously. And there is a B2B marketing organization, and I'm not going to name it. And they have a members meeting coming up, and they sent out a link. And on the link, it said, we're doing a survey before this session. And it was, it's to find out, answer this question of the survey. And the question was, have you tried Chat GPT? That was the question. And I thought, that's kind of useless. who would be coming to this thing and have not tried it? Who in their right mind would be in marketing and have not actually played around?
Yeah.
So, but guess what?
Stupid.
Guess what?
What?
You're gonna have to go steal the little explosion, blow your mind thing, because they sent something out, and it said, "Oh, the results to the survey are in. 55% of attendees that are coming have tried Chat GPT already," and I'm like, "Ooh, a whole 55%! Wow."
Here's the thing about
what?
See, when you and I, we embrace this stuff. We embrace what we see as, it's just like, I'm sure you were the same way when the internet came out. When the internet came out, I mean, my book, I think I told this before, right? My book that came out in 1990 about how to get the most out of trade shows, my very first book, came out. I had a section in one chapter, and it was, 300 words or something like that, where I talked about the coming cyberspace. I said, it's coming. Be ready for this, because when it comes, it's going to shake up the world. And and then when the internet came out, I dragged all of my clients kicking and screaming into the internet age back in 1994, 1995.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Well, right now, and because I said, this is going to change the world. It's going to change the world. Right now, I'm saying this is bigger than that was.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And you talk about that really, really articulately in your newsletter, The Uncopyable Mindset. If any listeners are you have to subscribe to Steve's newsletter. And it's worth the $9 or something that it might be now.
Yes. Soon it's going to eventually be.
And it's free right now, but go
once a week, right? Once a week, and it's going to be $9 a month.
Where do they find it? At theadventure.com?
No, go to beuncopyable.com.
Okay, go to beuncopyable.com and subscribe to the Uncopyable Mindset, because this is fantastic content, and it's all Steve, and it's instructional. It's not just it's going to help you.
Well, I want to share very quickly. I mean, we obviously have to get out of here. I want to share one thing that I wrote about this week, and I love it when I'm with Dave because I get to share some really interesting, cool stuff. You should hear what we talk about when you're not around. All right. It's worth a lot of money. Anyway, this week I wrote about, I thought, you know what? Chat GPT. I wonder what it thinks of me.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read that yet?
I did. I read it. Yeah, it's brilliant. And
I said, what do you think of me? Right. So I went in and I just, all I said was, would you hire Steve Miller, the author of Uncopyable? That's basically all I asked. Okay. And it came back with stuff about me that I couldn't freaking believe. And I said, well, is there more? Right. And it goes, oh yeah. And it's
it's really interesting, and it's pulling things from
everywhere. Because it was using terms, it was using analysis of what I do, and that it's not on my website. It's not in my book. It's not in my bio. I mean, it pulls pieces of that stuff, but then it came up with some of the most amazing information. And I'm going to tell you, I have done the same thing now for all my clients.
Yeah, it is interesting. Now,
and I did it for Dave. I also did it for you, Dave.
You did it for me. You sent me a gift one day, and it was what Chat GPT said about me, which was damn accurate. Because it did say that I was a superstar, not just a star.
No, I'm kidding.
Totally kidding.
But now this week I did something else. After I wrote the I did something else. I went out and I picked out the person that I would consider to be my number one competitor, who actually is a very good friend of mine, but it's not you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Because for me, you and I
consider ourselves
and I mean, you and I are very compatible. We are not competition for each other, okay? Because you do stuff like the voice of the customer stuff that is, what's it gonna be called?
Outsite. Customer outsite, not insight, outsite.
Okay. Do you have that domain?
Yes, customeroutsite.com.
Attaboy. Okay. So
and it's trademarked.
And this guy, this stuff, I mean, I can't even touch this stuff because he's so good at it. And but I took this guy who I've known for 35 years. And he and I have kind of grown up in the speaking world and stuff like that together. Different paths, but grown up. And I did the same thing with him where I asked Chat GPT, would you hire this guy? Why would you hire this guy? Right. And it came up with that. Right. And then I said, compare Steve Miller with this guy.
Okay. Oh, interesting. What did it say?
You got to see this.
Okay. That sounds fascinating.
It was again, right. It was showing where I was superior to him and where he was superior to me. I even asked it to break it down into the pros and cons of each person, right? And it just nailed him. But you see, if I'm talking like if I were talking to a possible prospect right now, I would be asking questions that are focused on what ChatGPT is saying. If this is what you're looking for, you hire this guy. If you're looking for this, you hire this guy.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
So, all right. What are we going to talk about next? Because I feel like we're not done.
No.
And I'm going to use this as a leaping point, because what I'm going to say is let's talk about how companies can use ChatGPT for competitive intelligence and advantage. What else would you do to does that sound okay?
I think it's focused enough that I think that's a good idea. Competitive intelligence and advantage. That's good. I like it. Let's do that.
That's what we're going to do next. Yeah. You know me, I'm a loose cannon. I don't know, have any idea where I'm going with this, but I got this guy on the other side of the screen that he knows what the F he's talking about.
See, flattery will get you everywhere.
That's the F word.
Steve knows it.
That's the F word that I just used, all right?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, folks, we're out of here. This has been the formidable, that's the F word, formidable B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast with Steve Miller, not the rock star, and Dave Loomis, also known as The Voice and some other things people call me. Dave the Wave, they used to call me in grade school because I had hair and there was a wave in it. But those were the days. We'll see you all, and thanks for listening. Come back to learn more about the exciting new world of AI. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast, the source for B2B marketing and sales insight. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and leave these old guys a 5-star rating. Check the show notes for any links and contact information. You can always contact us by going to b2bmarketingsalespodcast.com. Thank you, and keep on marketing, keep on selling.